Welcome. Go Ags. Big day here on campus. 32 guys, which is a monumental class. As you guys probably know, in FCS you can sign 30, but you can count some of those members of your class back if they're on your campus right now, so that's why we're able to go a little bit over. I know on this day everybody's always extremely excited, and we are too as well. I think what I've always really tried to get at in recruiting is the right fit. And the thing that's particularly pleasing about this class, when you look at it, it's very well-rounded, a lot of good athletes that play both sides of the ball, a lot of guys that have good community service, great students, of course, student government, National Honor Society, play other sports. They sort of exemplify for me what we're trying to not only recruit to Davis, but also promote at Davis. And that excites me. A lot of really, really energetic, vivacious young men that come from really great families as well. So really, really pleased with that. A number of guys at every position on the way in here. I want to thank really the campus from the top down. Ralph Hexter, the chancellor, just for really doing a lot of support. Kevin has been amazing in his support and help in our program. He did probably a really key instrumental thing of telling all the commits or the guys that were committed early on in this class that we'd honor that commitment. And I do want to give Ron Gould a big shout out, because the guys that were committed are very, very solid football players, good guys, good students. Ron's group also had over 40 guys with a 3.0 and 4.0 guys in the last quarter, and a group that posted over a 2.8 cumulative GPA. So Ron Gould has a lot to do with the quality of this class, as well as the coaches that were here. When I came in, Paul Creighton, David Braun, Tim Keene, Wes Nurse, John Gomes, those guys did an amazing job keeping this thing together as well. Without those guys, would have never, ever, ever happened. And an effort like this with this many guys, it takes a lot of people, a lot of resources. And the people on campus, compliance have been amazing. Ryan is in here, but Lydia and Ayez and Catherine, really amazing. Our trainers, Julieta and Matt over there, and Mike and Robert in equipment. It's a monumental effort across the board. Tim Ornelas, who's back here, I think he's technically the director of video service, but I think he's actually the head football coach as well. So he can do whatever you need to get done over here. So everybody's really been on board, and everybody's been extremely helpful. And that's been very beneficial. We've had tremendous financial support. The Football Enhancement Fund that was recently enacted has been big, because it takes a lot of resources to get these guys around and get them on the road. There's a lot of planes, trains, and automobiles and hotels in there that it takes, and give our guys a lot of credit for the work they did. Our staff has worked amazingly, amazingly hard and long, and a lot of these guys have been away from their families. I do want to thank David Braun's wife and Chappelle's wife, who actually held off having the birth of their children until actually signing date. So Chappelle got his signee early this morning at about 4 o'clock. I guess we could accept his NLI before 7. But congratulations to both of those. But those guys were out working on the road while their wives were getting ready to give birth. So pretty amazing that way. There's also a huge number of walk-ons out there that have committed to us that we can't talk about publicly, that are very interested, and I'm excited about getting those people on. And as I talked to our club here last night, all these new people have to come in and go to school and lift and run and work out and play football and prove themselves just like the guys that are here. But I really, really feel good about the class, its well-roundedness. It's athletic ability. I love those guys that play both ways and play other sports. They're obviously smart kids, and they bring something to the table in terms of their work experience, their community service. They really are our kind of people. So I always talk about that quality balance of life, and that's what we try to reap, and that's what we try to sow. So from that standpoint, really, really thrilled and love sitting together with all these guys. And if you'd have seen us in here this morning, compliance was running around like an anthill, managing those 32. We had a kid that signed who was in Italy. I think it's the first time I've had a guy sitting in front of the Duomo signing his letter of intent that came rolling in here this morning. But it is a monumental effort. I sit here and I honor not only Ron Gould and his staff that brought people in here and our staff, but the entire campus from the top down. We had a number of faculty every weekend that were meeting with those kids. And it's just tremendous, really tremendous across the board. Everybody that helps out in every little thing matters. And I think most of the parents and most of the players that we got were most impressed really by the quality of people here. That was the number one thing that they were fired up about. So pushing forward, we got spring ball coming up here in about a month. Things fly fast and furious, and before we know it, we'll be ready to kick off. But it was exciting to get all those people in the boat, and now we're going to take just a little, give our coaches a chance to reintroduce themselves to their wives. I've been married for over 35 years, but I've not been married for the last 2 months, other than by phone. So looking forward to getting our families back together, get going. So with that, I'll throw it out for questions.
How many of your recruits are here for the spring? Enrolled in the spring?
We have 2 here right now. Yep. Terrell Cloud is here and Will Martin are here, and then we'll have 3 more join them in the spring, our other junior college guys. So that would be Eric Flowers, Tanner Cristando, and Max O'Rourke.
Max O'Rourke inspire you? He's a kid who, I don't know if people know, he 2 years ago was a high school player. He shattered his leg. There was cancer fear. Then he wondered if he was ever going to be able to walk again without a hitch. And he's come all the way back. So he's your kind of character kind of guy. He's a versatile athlete. There's always room for a kicker. So what do you like about him?
Well, yeah, he was an outstanding quarterback. I mean, he can kick and he can punt and he can kick off. We have a good kicker here as well, Matt Blair, but we want to certainly create competition at that spot, and I think sometimes people will leave that as an afterthought. I don't. I'm sort of a special teams guy at heart anyway, and those guys are critical. We want to put those guys in the forefront. But it's fun when you have a guy like that that has something to prove. He's got a little bit of chip on his shoulder. There's a little bit of internal motivation maybe that sometimes another person would lack, but he's a very solid player, and I think his best days are in front of him. He's only going to continue to get better as a kicker and a punter.
Local question, Nick Amoa.
Yep.
High school. What did you see?
Well, the thing that's awesome about Nick is he's a very talented, he's an offensive lineman and he's a defensive lineman. He's a good defensive lineman as well. So we see him being a very mobile, smart guy. It's interesting. Both of his parents are geneticists. I love sitting with them and love meeting with them. He's a guy that's into alternative energy vehicle engineering. I think he has already a couple of patents on some devices that could be used. So I'm actually applying for a job with him because when he graduated, I think he's going to do big things. Yeah.
Are you amazed continuously how good of students some of these kids are and how they handle their academic grind and community service? And it buckles a lot of kids, but these guys seem to flourish.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from good backgrounds and good families and groundedness of people that emphasize that academic background as well as the other. They're very, I hate always using the term smart because sometimes some people are genetically smart, but a lot of times they're just more focused. They're just more committed. They're just more disciplined. They just take care of their business. And a lot of that comes from the background that they're in and the high school programs as well. And I certainly want to thank all those high school coaches that supplied us in junior college because they're getting bugged at all hours of the night and getting texted and instant messages and phone calls. But it's really they're a product of the background that they come from. And they are special and they are unique. And I love sitting with them. And whenever we have a home visit or chance to meet with these guys, you're never wanting to leave the house early because there's so much interesting dialogue that goes on in the living room because these families are they're fascinating. Most of them, they're just spectacular.
Were you? It's been a few years since you were on the recruiting trail. Were you invigorated all over again and exhausted at the same time?
Never exhausted. I love it for several reasons. I love interacting with these people. I always enjoy educating them and helping them and guide them and giving them some information. Kevin, when he talked to our recruits, which he's correct, it's really about just telling the truth. I really try to engage them in that way and be very transparent and help educate them about the recruiting process and about what our expectations here are at Davis, academically, athletically, off the field. But it's never wears me out. I'm a people person as it is, and I'm always intrigued and invigorated by being around that kind of quality. But it's like riding a bike a little bit. The great thing is when you've done it in so many places and so many veins and so many different, I just really feel like I have a mastery of the craft and can shed a lot of light on many situations that these guys are in. I think it's probably rare that you find a guy that's been a high school coach, that's been a junior college coach, a D3 coach, a D2 coach, a Division I coach, an FCS coach, and really pro football in Canada. So I've kind of gone the full spectrum, so I think I help give them a little bit of light in all those areas.
We know football's certainly a grind, but some of your video clips today were challenge and running around. It's okay to have a little fun in there too. It's like your staff enjoyed it. Yeah,
we have great people, and I'll be quite frank. Sometimes some of this stuff can be a little bit monotonous, and we all like to have fun, and we all like to be a little bit entertaining, and so we like to have fun with it, and that's our staff. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. It's never fun when you lose, but we have really engaging coaches, and they are very funny, and just having a little fun with it is always good entertainment.
Have you dealt at all or talked about the having the intent date moved up? And what do you
Signing date?
Yeah.
Well, I always say if I were the czar, which I'm reminded in life I'm not many times, I know they're talking a little bit about allowing some people to take trips in their junior year. Those of you that have had children or do have children and they're starting to go look at colleges, they typically don't wait until January of their senior year to go look at a school. Well, I would like to see these guys be able to get paid trips in maybe May and June of their junior year so they can go out early. If your family has the resources and able to get you around all these camps and get you on campus and unofficials, that's great. But a lot of people aren't in that situation. So they'd have to wait until they can take trips to go do it. So I wouldn't want to see anything go too much earlier without some sort of provision in there so that those folks are allowed to get mainstreamed into the process a little bit earlier, like those that have some more resources. That being said, I do think along the way there are some stopgap measures are great. They're cost-saving. In many cases, they're beneficial to the player that he doesn't have to deal with it. So I do think they've talked a little bit about doing something around, the JC signing date and having high school guys sign then. I think there's probably some rationale to that a little bit. But I don't want to push it too far back without giving those guys the opportunity to take a paid trip in the springtime like other people are getting unofficials and paying their own way. I'd also I know things are really going well here. Our water polo team did a great job. Kevin did a masterful job getting Coach Lason's chair endowed. I think that's indicative of where we're moving in this program right now. I got the soccer folks coming up here shortly. I know basketball is tearing it up. Coach Les is setting a good pace for us in football that we need to follow. Women's basketball, very dynamic as well. And I think it's fun to be in an athletic department that's that dynamic and moving forward. And that's really been fun, and I'm looking forward to getting to know all these coaches a little bit more and helping be part of the engine that drives all this thing. And that's an exciting. But I want to give those folks a tip of the hat. I know everybody always looks at football, and there's a lot of people that don't get the exposure that they need to in many veins that are doing an amazing, amazing job. And I want to tip my hat to those folks as well. All right, go Ags.
At this time, we'll bring up head women's soccer coach Twila Kaufman. She signed 5 players today, and I'd like to welcome her up to the mic to talk about her incoming class. Coach, we'll start with some opening thoughts with you, and we'll open up for questions.
Well, first of all, thank you to Coach Hawkins for including us in the press release. I think that's really great and indicative of the direction our athletic department is going. It's one big family here, and it's just really exciting to be a part of UC Davis athletics right now.
What excites you the most about your class coming in?
I think what excites me the most is just the diversity in their strengths, their very solid backgrounds that they come from, and their excitement and enthusiasm for what UC Davis soccer is.
How important is this region in soccer to the long-term success of the UCD program, the prep aspect?
Region as far as California?
As far as this region, Sacramento area.
Well, we actually just signed 2 players from the local area today, in Haley and Aubrey. They're both going to be competing in the back line, I think, right away. Aubrey comes from San Juan Soccer Club, which is where Michelle Maroney came from this last year, who started for us as a center back as a freshman. So we're thrilled to have members of our team come from repeat clubs, and Haley specifically coming from the Davis Legacy is a really big deal to us. She's our first local, very local player in the program, so we're really thrilled about that.
What are your expectations for this incoming class?
We just expect that they come in fit, that they come in humble, they come in ready to learn and work. This is the first time our senior class has actually gone through a freshman, sophomore, and junior year with our coaching staff. They know better than anybody how to win and to continue to cultivate this team culture that we have. So all our freshmen need to do is come in and follow their lead.
You've built this program over the last few years. You're steadily climbing up the Big West Conference ladder. How will this incoming class kind of help continue that evolution?
Well, we're really, really excited about this class because it's the first time our staff has had a 3-year recruiting cycle to actually recruit them. We also have a really clear picture of what our current squad looks like. So each one of these players has been kind of handpicked to either fill a role that our seniors are vacating, to add depth to certain positions that we don't have depth in, or to add a very special and unique skill set. So we're thrilled about all of them. All of them are very talented possessors of the ball, as well as athletic, and they each have really unique qualities. For instance, Monet is a player that can play as a holding center mid, a center back, and she can score from really deep areas of the field. And Caitlin is kind of the opposite type of midfielder, where she's a dribble driver and she's a specialist at the final pass. And Lauren Beauvais scored 311 goals in high school. So hopefully some of those will translate to the college game. And then Malal, she's going to bring a lot of international flair for us and experience. She's played with the English U18 team. She was the youngest player, I believe, ever to play with Chelsea reserves. So she's had experience with Chelsea and with Reading. And then the local players that we were just mentioning, I think they're going to contribute right away in the back line.
How often do you get to see some of these prospects in person? I don't know if you get up to Idaho or anything. And film is one thing, but it's always nice to see them live.
So we see, before we ever make a commitment to a player, we see them at least 7 times. One of the factors that we think is a really good indicator of what a great college athlete is going to be is their consistency. So we're everywhere. I'm very thankful for a budget that allows me to get all over the country and all over the world if I need to. We have some out-of-state scholarships, which has been a huge blessing to our program. And we're not afraid to go out and recruit outside of the state if need be, even without those resources. We think UC Davis is a destination school that a lot of people want to get to, and we see a lot of eagerness from all over the country.
Ever any concern about burnout on your players? Because soccer can be a year-round thing for this small. Certainly when they get to college, they can't wait to play. But how do you guard against that?
Well, fortunately for us, U.S. soccer is starting to put limitations on players, so that's something that I'm having to talk less and less about, but it's definitely part of the soccer culture, and they're overtrained at a young age. And we specifically go out and try and find players that are really hungry. Maybe they've been just below a national team level, or they have aspirations of playing professionally, or maybe they even feel slighted in some way by somebody where they feel like they still have something to prove, and also just that they really love the game. And the last bit of that is that we're always trying to find players that we think are going to be better 22-year-olds than 16-year-olds. So we're not afraid to go out and bet on somebody that has sort of that competitiveness and that grit and that hunger. Those are the players that don't burn out and make it to be quite talented college players.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.